Selamat pagi gereja, aku sangat senyum karena ada di sini. Tetapi aku mau ketemu sama semua di mini Zoom. Hello church, I'm so happy to be here. Я можу говорити теж на українській мові, але мені трошки зручно, щоб говорити на англійській мові. I'm so happy to see everyone here. It's been amazing over and everywhere in the world that I've been. But I think the best place to be is home, to see all the smiling faces that I've known all my life. When I was on missions, when I first went 2 summers ago in 2018, I was really happy to be gone, and I was thinking, oh, I will see the entire world. But as time went by, I just started praying. I wish I could just see one familiar face. I wish I could just see one person that I already know, one connection, so I don't feel like I'm alone in the world. But through this time, I had to get used to the fact that I'm not alone in the world. And as much as it is really nice to see our church family here, even though we can't see everybody because of the quarantine, I am just so grateful to God that through all of my prayer requests over the past year and a half, I think that He's at least helped me to understand why things happened in my life. I would say that one of the biggest things that ever happened to me is when I went to Indonesia. Everything went together in a way that there was nobody else with me just for a month, and then I was alone. I was one white person on the island, and it was just me and everybody that I was supposed to be serving. I didn't know the language yet, I know it now, but I just had one person who can speak English, and she got tired of me really quick. So I just had to walk with my kids and eat with my kids and work with my kids, but I couldn't talk to them. And I asked God, how am I supposed to be a missionary? I've always heard all my life, yes, it's your actions that count. But how can I be a missionary? How can I feel like I'm really making a difference when I can't speak this language, when there's nobody here who can help me to talk to these kids? And we would wake up at 4 a.m. every day. We just slept on the floor, so we didn't have to do the bed. Just wake everybody up. We would go take a shower. We had about 12 girls and 12 boys. So the girls would use one bucket, and the boys would be on the other side of our plantation. They would use another bucket. So we'd wash all the small kids, get ready, and every morning I had to do a sermon in front of the kids in Indonesian. And at first it was very simple. The night before, I would just read a couple Bible verses in Indonesian and then just say it to them, and then kind of just hope that they understand. And as time went by, I realized that I was so happy that God made me, in other words, stop speaking. My voice was lost completely. I couldn't even, when we were working in the rice field, and I'm gathering rice over here, and I see one of our younger girls, Yolan, she just runs off over there. I can't even yell to Yolan, like, hey Yolan, you need to be working, come back here. I couldn't say anything. Or if I saw one of the boys doing something wrong, like Bobby, he liked to catch rats and eat them. I see him catching rats, and I want to tell him, like, oh, you shouldn't do that, you can't eat it, why are you doing this? And I just look at him and I can't say anything, so I just smile, take him by the shoulders, give him a hug, and just lead him to a different place. And I just spent over 6 months just God humbling me, to the point where when I finally did learn to pakai bahasa Indonesia, speak Indonesian, I didn't even use it that much. Just in the mornings to say a sermon, and then just ask God to help me show kindness wherever I went. Instead of treating the kids there like I would treat my own siblings, I treated them like they were little people that were worthy of respect. They were people that the world had left behind. And when I was in Nias, so far away from everything that I knew, so far away from the people that I grew up with, and even most of the time there was no internet, so I couldn't even call my family. I too really felt like one of those kids who was stuck on one part of the world, a little corner of the world, right on the equator, and there was nobody that I could reach out to, and there's nobody that I could say, like, hey, help me. It was just me against the world. And over this time, I started to feel really, really deeply for my kids. I understood each one of them, how Bobby, why he always liked to eat those rats, is because when his parents left him and his little brother Julfan, they were only a few years old, and their parents realized that these boys had contracted tuberculosis, and their entire island, a little island off of my island, it was full of tuberculosis, and the parents decided that instead of sticking with their kids, they would just quickly get off the island and move to a bigger island, even bigger than my island. And they just disappeared into the country of Indonesia. No one could find them. But for the longest time, the village didn't even take care of these boys. And Bobby and Julfan, in the first 1,000 days of their life, they were not getting enough nutrition. And when a child is malnourished for the first 1,000 days of their life, they will never grow to the place that they're supposed to be. They will always be young. Bobby was 17, but he looked like he was 12. And I realized that how can you tell a child whose first memory is just intense starvation not to eat something when he can't help himself? Or Sasta, one of my favorite girls, I couldn't understand why she would always take things. I couldn't understand until I realized that when she was with her own family, they wouldn't give her what she needed. And if she needed something, the only way to get it was to find it. And over time, God really explained to me, God really showed me that the one thing that you think that really bothers you the most about a person, it comes from a place of hurt. A person isn't perfect, but where they aren't perfect, it doesn't mean that they're all right and healthy in that place. If a child came to me and I could see that they just really didn't want to come to God, and what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to shove the Bible in their face and hope that it changes them? Or what can I do to help them? I didn't know the answer to this question. I'm not like my own mom, or I'm not like my own dad, or any of these parents that I see in our church. I didn't understand yet. I wasn't a parent. I wasn't even married. And I just felt like God wasn't equipping me to do the work that I was supposed to do. And on top of that, one of the challenges I faced even in Ukraine was that the weather was really harsh. When I came to Ukraine after Indonesia, I felt really cold, but in Indonesia it was really, really hot, right on the equator, and I would go outside to work in the rice field, and all the bugs would bite me because I had white skin. And so I was always covered in these sores, and when I went to sleep, when you're laying to go to sleep, it was really hard to even pray, because you close your eyes, and immediately you can feel the lice on your scalp. They're kind of crawling around, and you can feel the fire ants around your feet, and you're wondering, like, is that liquid someone's sweat, or did one of the little girls pee? And it's like, I can't do this. I really can't do this, but I just stuck with it. I just stuck with it, and I didn't know what I was doing for the longest time until God really spoke through me, to me through a verse in 1 Joshua, in Joshua chapter 1, verses 8 through 9. I don't have my Bible with me, but I think that every time life has gotten hard on missions over this past year and a half, I have said this to myself and realized even if it doesn't get better, God is with me. It says, "This book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night. For then, this book of the law shall not depart from your mouth, but you shall meditate on it day and night, so that you may be careful to do according to all that is written in it. For then you will make your way prosperous." This came to me in a time that my life, yes, I was a missionary, but all of our lives, we come to points in our life that we think that we're doing the right thing, but it just isn't working. Maybe we're working in a good job, but just things aren't working along, or we're in school, but it isn't working. We can't figure it out. But God promises in the Bible that He will make your way prosperous, and then you will have success. This verse promises success. And I started thinking about what would success look like in missions. Would success look like that I would come back home and I'd be some great missionary? Or would success look like if I came back home and I still loved those kids as much as I loved them the day that I was with them? If I still prayed about them, if I still invested myself so much into the people that I met in Ukraine, that I pray for them daily, I think that's the measure of success in my life, in missions, and I believe that that's the measure of success that we can all, each one of us, find in our life. The verse keeps going in verse 9. It says, "Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be frightened, do not be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." My life is constantly changing. I have been going from country to country country, from Japan to Indonesia to Malaysia to Turkey to Ukraine, and each time I come to a new place, and now even America, and I just look at everything that's so different, and the people are so different, and I think, God, all these skills that you've taught me in all my life that I used in Ukraine, I can't use them in America anymore. And so I have to open my life again, and I have to ask again for God to change me, for God to give me new skills that would help me to keep going. And He equips me every time. And I sincerely believe that no matter your age, no matter how old you are, no matter how much money you make, God can use you in your life more than He used me. Because God took me out of my country where I already knew what I was doing. He took me out and I had to learn the language. I had to learn the food. I have to learn how to eat white rice and nothing but white rice. And in Ukraine I had to eat potatoes, and I had to learn how to eat potatoes instead of white rice. And here even I'm trying to learn out how to figure out how to eat protein at every meal. And I just shock myself at how much easier it could have been if I had just stayed here and opened my life to God here. And I want to say to everyone who is listening right now, everyone who is in this room right now, God promises this success in your life, in whatever path you're on. God promises that from the very beginning of the Bible, the book of Joshua. He promises that to the people of Israel. He promises that to the people of this church, my church family, and to the people who are listening right now. That God will not leave you alone. He will go ahead of you, just like He went ahead of me. And I wanted to say thank you to all the people who were with me, because in the time that I felt the most alone, it was my church family who supported me, even just spiritually or financially. I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Я хотіла б сказати дуже дякую за тих людей, які вони позаботилися за мене. Були такі люди, що дали фінансові дари, які я могла використовувати для моїх дітей в Індонезії або для дітей в англійському клубу в Україні. Але саме більше мені допомагало, як людина просто на вайбері написала: Тома, як в тебе діла? І я могла б сказати: о, да, Боже, дякую, що там є люди, які мене знають. І я хочу сказати дякую, мені жаль, що я не можу на всіх подивитися, але я б хотіла сказати дякую для моєї сім'ї в церкві, що ви за мене